What is up, Mizzou fans? Welcome back to another live post-game show on the Show Me Football YouTube channel. My name is Josh Fan of ShowMeFootball.com, covering your Missouri Tigers. And today I am joined by Brayden Dowers and, of course, Prime Conor, who only seems to come out for big losses, which today was certainly a big loss, Brayden and Conor. The Tigers get absolutely trounced by Texas A&M, 41-10. Coming off the bye week, they had 2 weeks to prepare. This team, we all had questions about it. Squeaked out a win against Boston College, cool. Had the gut punch against Vandy. You had the gut punch. You had the wake-up call. This should have been the game where you responded, and instead we get the worst performance we've seen from this team in about a year and a half.
You seem awfully chipper, Josh.
Well, I mean, look, I'm here to cover the team. You act like I'm a fan of this team or something like that. I'm just here to cover them. This is my job that I do on the side.
I don't know what you seem so damn happy, Josh.
I'm not happy. It just is it's Mizzou, man. This is Mizzou. This is what we are.
This team. This team's so fun.
This is the Tigers, man. Okay, here. You know what, Conor? You're our guest today. Because, that's essentially what you've been relegated to as an occasional guest. So,
occasional. I had to lobby to get back here.
Yeah. So, anyway, looking at this game objectively, Conor, what did you see, man? How should we feel? Tell us.
Your unbiased Mizzou opinion. Because
yes.
We know you have very unbiased opinions on Mizzou.
I do. I don't understand why this picture of me has been painted. But no, I was expecting something close, more akin to the Vandy game, because we didn't really know how good A&M was coming into this. But I was very worried about this team's ability to play on the road, just because late night home game and you're close with Vandy, right? So I guess you could call Boston College a good test, but
yeah,
talent-wise, you should just completely outrun them. You have more talent than them. Just run the ball down their throat, and you should be able to win. So I was a bit worried about a road SEC game, and I think that was kind of proven. I felt like it was a good opportunity to right the ship after a disappointing Vandy game that really feels like a loss, even though on paper it wasn't.
Yeah,
but. And, you talk about the gut check, and I feel like that's a theme with you, right? Whether it's the Chiefs or Mizzou, I feel like you talk about, gut checks. Okay, this is the wake-up call to get everything in together.
I agree.
And with the Chiefs, Josh, I'm speaking. And with the Chiefs, I feel like that wake-up call is very rarely taken seriously.
No, but that's what what I mean. I kind of say it in jest because it's no, you – say it perfectly with the Chiefs because I do it all the time with them.
You wanted to say you hit the nail on the head right there. You wanted to say that.
No, I didn't even say that in our last episode with Brayden. So, but no, that's what Chiefs fans do all the time. Every loss is a gut punch, wake up, and then it's okay. Then when we come out looking like crap the next game, what is it? And that's kind of what happened today. I kind of say it in jest because that's the rationalization from Mizzou fans for the last two performances against Vandy and Boston College is, okay, Boston College is a good team, we think. Wake-up call, though. You should be better than them. Vandy, gut punch. You shouldn't be going to overtime with them, but you still were able to pull out the win. And I'll play devil's advocate here for a second. And don't get me wrong. I'm absolutely pissed with this team's performance today. I don't want to make it seem like – I'm not going to make it seem like anything other than that. But I am going to play devil's advocate before I let Brayden talk and see what he has to say. College football is a very week-to-week type of sport. You can look completely different one week, and you can look completely overmatched the next week, regardless of opponent. Even in the Barry Odom years, there was, I think it was his second to last season. We lost to Vandy. I want to say it was, or we had Vandy. It was the Kentucky loss. Actually, it was the Kentucky loss where Barry Odom went into prevent defense, and everyone's like, well, this season's done. And then the next week they come out and they beat top 15 ranked Florida. And college football is just week to week like that. The only thing that matters is winning. Now, obviously, I didn't win this week. But my next thing that I was going to say is these losses, no matter what they look like on the scoreboard, only count as one loss. Mizzou can still have a good season, but I don't want to hear anything more about the college football playoffs. I don't want to hear anything more about how great this offense is because we just haven't seen it, man. Like to this point, the Mizzou Tigers are frauds. They're frauds. They're fraudulent because and here's the other thing too. They told everyone coming into this year, hey, we're one of the best offenses in the nation. Like Drinkwitz is like, we need to see the fans come out in the games. You know, if you don't show up and sell out, we can't be taken seriously as a program. Luther Burden was talking about how he was pissed we didn't get College Game Day. He wants the big cameras. Well, the critics were right. This doesn't look like a top 10 team. This doesn't look like a top 25 team because you can't come out and get beat the way that you did today and expect to be taken seriously because this was a team that I agree with Conor. I think this game should have been close. I could have taken a loss from Texas A&M and been fine with it if it was a close game. But the thing is, when you go to the end of the year, when you get to the end of the year, let's just say this team is 10-2. Let's say Bama is their only other loss and they're 10-2 at the end. That doesn't guarantee you a playoff spot. And they're going to be looking at a few other teams that are probably also going to be 10-2. And they're going to look at your losses and they're going to say, ooh, Mizzou got trounced by Texas A&M. Not only did they lose, they got trounced. And that is something that can knock you out in the playoff. A loss to Texas A&M today would have been acceptable. Losing the way you did today is unacceptable.
So my turn?
Yep.
Okay. Where do I start? So Conor was talking about Boston College and how that was a test game. Well, Boston College just got beat 24-14 by Virginia with Thomas Castellanos back at quarterback. So Boston College probably isn't going to be that good because they got beat by 10 points to Virginia. So that's no longer going to look like a quality win because Boston College isn't going to be a factor in the ACC.
Yeah, and they beat Michigan State, who doesn't look very good either.
No. And they almost lost to Western Kentucky, but that was without Castellanos. So that Boston College game is just looking worse and worse. What else? Brady Cook just sucks. Just plain and simple. I didn't watch the second half of this game because I'm not going to waste my time watching this Missouri football team if you're losing 24-0 at half, and then the opening play of the second half, you allow a run right up the gut for a touchdown.
Is that when you turned it off, that exact moment?
No, my dad told me about it. I didn't even watch the play. He just said it was just a simple run right up the middle for a touchdown on like the first play of the game, first play of the second half. I'm like, oh, okay. No, this team shows absolutely no strength in the face of adversity. You go down early, and then you have Luther Burden and Brady Cook sitting on the bench pouting like little bitches because that's what they are. That's what they were today. Luther and Brady were sitting on the bench pouting like little bitches in the first half. After we got down, I think it was just 10-0, we were pouting like that. It was ridiculous. Showed absolutely no will, no spirit whatsoever in this team. It was laughable that Drinkwitz doesn't have these guys ready. It's laughable that we still have so many penalty issues that have taken away so many big plays that could have kept us in this game, but then we just completely folded. That's what this team did. They completely folded. They completely shut down. Kirby Moore needed that blanket that Theo Weiss got as a present from his hotel because he was taking a fucking nap. That's what Kirby Moore was doing today, calling uninspired quarterback design runs with Brady Cook on third down. Like, what are we doing? Brady's still taking unnecessary sacks. He sucks. Oh, Connor Tollison's the highest ranked center in PFF. Fuck PFF. Fuck Connor Tollison. He still sucks. The entire offensive line was dog shit. Caden Green looked like a dumb fuck. What else? Defense was unexcusably bad. I mean, just got absolutely walked all over by Connor Wegman, who wants to be from the ghetto when he's from Cypress, Texas, and he tries to talk like he's from the hood. What else do I have? Because I know there's more. Okay, college football playoffs. There's no point in talking about it because you have a very close win against a Vandy team that's probably, I don't know their schedule, but they're probably not going to win many more games, if any. A Boston College close win against a Boston College team who's probably not going to win many more games, and then a blowout loss to A&M. We're going to beat UMass Like that's about the only UMass and Mississippi State are about the only two games that I'm like, okay, I think we can for sure win those two. That's it.
Hey,
Only those
that
two.
rowdy home environment at UMass, you never know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. That's very true. UMass does have a really good crowd.
Okay.
Like I think that we'll probably beat Auburn, but I'm not sure. I think that we'll probably beat Arkansas, but I'm not sure. We're going to lose by 70 in Tuscaloosa. I know that. And I know Conor's going to be happy about that because he's not a true son and he would rather watch Bama than Mizzou.
I watched the entire game. Neither of you did.
No, I watched the entire game. I still watched it all the way through. I know Brayden didn't.
I mean, Mizzou's undefeated when I go in person and winless when I don't. So,
Okay. Here, I'm going to add on to what Brayden just said, and then Conor, I'll let you piggyback off of that.
Piggy.
So, not blaming the refs, but when Missouri scored a touchdown, a 70-yard touchdown with Luther Burden, and then it got called back, that really was the big backbreaker that really broke this game open for A&M, because I think there is a world where this is a close game and a world where Mizzou comes out with the victory. Today was just not the day for it. The refs were spotty from the very beginning.
On Bama.
The refs were spotty from the very beginning. And like we talked about this in the group chat, Conor, like I'm not even bitching about the refs calling penalties on Mizzou because all of them were legitimate. It's just that they didn't call the game very even. And then the picking up the flag after the Theo Weiss pass interference, just that's like the type of stuff that only seems to happen to Mizzou. I mean, that was a blatant pass interference, and Mizzou probably goes down and scores if they keep that flag. So
not based on how the offense played the rest of the day.
But that's the thing is like that's the momentum.
They could have gotten momentum.
Yeah, the momentum was going their way.
Have those flags happen, and like I'm not even mad that the play didn't get called. What I'm mad about on that first drive is that they threw the flag initially, and how do you pick that up?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
It is a 50-50 call. How do you pick that up after the fact? That doesn't make sense.
Now, here's the other thing that I was going to say.
But again, it doesn't matter because this team showed absolutely no spirit to do anything in this game.
Well, and this is why I'm not going to blame the refs because, first of all, you can't blame the refs for losing 41-10.
No.
I'm just saying that they would have had momentum and that there's a world where this game would have been close if they didn't make those calls or the refs call the game evenly and ruin the Mizzou momentum. But I think everything started when they called that design run for Brady Cook on the third down prior to the pass interference play that got picked up. I understand that Mizzou was probably playing with the mentality that no matter what, we're going to go for it on fourth down here, but fourth down doesn't become an issue. There's no decision to make on fourth down if you don't run the laziest QB draw with Brady Cook to play before. We've seen those enough over the past 2 seasons to know that they don't work. Take them out of the playbook for God's sake, Kirby Moore.
He's not getting a head coaching job anywhere else.
The designed runs with Brady Cook just don't work. And I think Brady Cook's a good scrambler. I think he's mobile enough.
No, he's
fast.
not.
Yeah, he's a good scrambler. He's just
no
not
pocket. He has no pocket presence, and multiple times in the first half, like the few times that I saw him try to scramble it, he either ran right into a defender or just was fucking stupid. He's indecisive.
I agree he's indecisive, but when you boil it down to just being able to tuck the ball and run on a scramble, Brady Cook is good for that. He's not a good design runner. He runs east and west too much. He doesn't have very good vision. And I even agree with you, Brayden. There were a couple runs where it's like, okay, that could have gone for like 8 more yards if you didn't like stutter with your feet. Brady Cook, I feel like this conversation gets this gets complicated by a lot of Mizzou fans. It feels like half the fan base wants to wrestle with the other half saying Brady Cook's the guy, the other wants to say Brady Cook isn't the guy. And yeah, Mizzou was able to go 11-2 last year with Brady Cook, and he led them to a very good season. But now I'm kind of feeling like maybe Brady Cook's story should have ended there because we're seeing him. I mean, there was a flea flicker to Brett Norfleet wide open on the sidelines. Conor, if you were watching the game, like you said, you probably saw it. You probably know what play I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Brett Norfleet's wide open, and Brady Cook throws it in the dirt, and he's open by a mile. And I'm not talking about a guy that had 3 steps on the defender or anything. I'm talking wide open, like he's by himself. And you want to talk about momentum, too, at the beginning of the game. there was the play right before the Luther Burden penalty where Theo Weiss, if he had caught it, would have been gone for a touchdown, and Brady just missed him. And this is happening way too much. And everyone wants to blame everything else except for Brady Cook. And yeah, I'm not saying Brady Cook's the entire problem. You could talk about play calling. You could talk about the offensive line. You could talk about the receivers, but bottom line, Brady Cook has been the common denominator in all the team struggles this year. Even going back to the first 2 games against Buffalo and whoever the hell that I'm forgetting, Murray State, everything else was great besides Brady Cook missing on the deep ball. That's something we've been asking for, and you have to be able to hit it eventually, and he still just has not done it. Like, I feel like that one SpongeBob episode where they're like, ring the bell, and they're like, day 15 of asking for a goddamn deep ball from Brady Cook. Like, come on. This offense is way too talented to look like this. And the defense was terrible today, no doubt about it.
Toriano Pride is a fucking bum.
They looked absolutely lost.
Him and Norwood, like...
Well, the secondary in general was just giving up everything on the sidelines.
I mean, that was my biggest concern with this team was the secondary. That has been my biggest concern with the defense the entire year was Toriano Pride and Dre Norwood looking like they would probably get taken advantage of by SEC defenses. And then they did. Or SEC offenses, and then they did.
But, like, here's the thing, though.
Just fucking destroyed.
Here's the thing, though, with the defense
that we had.
Like, yes, the defense was terrible today. I will not argue that. But this team was never going to be built on having a great defense again this year. We all thought the defense was going to take a step back. We all thought that this team was going to be carried by the offense, and instead, Mizzou's offense is trying to ask the defense to carry them once again, and to me, that is a direct result of Brady Cook being your starting quarterback. And yeah, the defense is bad, but when your offense goes 3 and out, when they go, in fact, let me pull it up right here. When they go 5 of 15 on 3rd down, that's not doing your defense any favors. 1 of 4 on 4th down. I mean, I think it still all starts with Brady Cook. I really do. Connor, I said I was going to let you talk, so go ahead. I've been
Connor, I have some news.
What?
Vandy's up 14-0.
Yeah, I have the game on.
Okay.
It's first quarter though, so that kind of brings me into like something else that I was going to bring up. Like,
Vandy a sneaky good win?
Maybe. I don't know. Get back to me in 3 quarters. But yeah, like, I said in the group chat, like, because Tino's like, what do you even say at halftime? And I said, well, I guarantee all these guys like know what happened in the Georgia-Bama game and how Georgia came back from a seemingly like impossible comeback, right? So I felt like that's what you say when you get in there is you say like, hey, we're better than this.
The great Pete Eberhardt always used to say, if they can score 60.5, we can score 60.5.
But I mean, he's not wrong with that. That's not a bad thing to say to your team, right? And then for them just to come out pouting on the bench and just come out so flat, like, that's
coaching.
Yeah, like
that's piss poor coaching. Drink had 2 weeks to game plan for but and he didn't show up.
I'm not gonna not say there is, but just like seeing them like mentally checked out, like, motherfucker, you guys are like a top 10 team. Like, this should be possible for you, like it's not impossible for you to replicate, what Georgia did last week. Like that shouldn't feel impossible, but they just went out with like no belief that they could come back. And they had a little success towards the end of the game, but A&M might have pulled some starters. But
definitely
still, like, just quitting that early on in the game, that's just a fucking pussy mentality.
Well, and the other thing that I noticed as well, and it's something that I was afraid of happening in this game, is if Mizzou got down like 10-0 really quickly, that they would abandon the run. When Nate Noel has been very good this year, and running the ball should, especially if Brady Cook is going to keep playing like this, even just going forward. If Brady Cook is going to keep playing like this, you need to lean on the run game. You need to lean on Nate Noel and Marcus Carroll, who I think have been very good, but it got to a situation where Mizzou's like, okay, we need to throw to stay in this. And that's when they started going 3 and out continuously, putting the defense back out there. And then it just got too out of hand. And like even the big plays to Theo Weiss, because Theo Weiss eventually had a long touchdown, and he was about one of the only players that showed up today. But it's like, man, those plays were there all day, and you're just now hitting them. And they've been there all day. And again, this comes down to Brady Cook. this is who he is, man. Like, if I feel like we had this conversation every single week. Brayden and I even said it on our last post game we did after Vandy. Like, the Brady Cook conversation gets exhausting because I see all the banter on social media and everyone has to take a side. And it's like, okay, if we had to have this conversation every single week, that just tells me he probably isn't the guy. Conor, where do you stand on Brady Cook?
But Josh, I think you forget the fact that he grew up a Mizzou fan.
Yeah, he's also a fucking 3-star quarterback that had no other Power 5 offers.
I mean, no, Conor, like, we're like legit. Like, if you're,
I'm just baffled that there's not like other options, right? There's not like, a guy who's supposed to be next up waiting in the wings. Like, I don't know how, like, because like I get like last year went well, right? And but the year before, quarterback was a major issue. So even if you aren't bringing a guy in to like get the starting job outright, like fucking Texas has quite possibly the 2 best quarterbacks in the nation on their roster right now. Like, why, even if he's going to come in to sit, why is there not another option there? Like, yeah, this is going to be the guy next year that you can just put in a year early. Why is that option not there? Why is, it basically just Cook or nothing? Like, I know they have a backup, but I don't think he's, like there's any optimism with him at all. So you basically have to play Cook. So why is it that, like, if year 3 of having the Brady Cook conversation, there's at least not like an option B? I'm not even saying that it has to be a tremendous option, but like,
yeah,
just an SEC caliber quarterback. How do you go 3 years without recruiting an SEC caliber quarterback? That just doesn't make sense to me. Like, you can't cut a check to some like transfer kid who had a good year at like an FCS school who will just sit on the bench for 1 year and just be insurance. Why is that not an option?
Yeah, well, no. So it's a little tough to grab a guy that you think can start in the SEC if you tell him he basically has no chance at the starting job, which I'm sure that would have been the explanation with Brady Cook after last year.
Why the fuck would you tell him that?
Well, because that's the thing. Brady Cook was your starter after last year. Like, and this is why it's like difficult to have the conversation. And like, I understand what you're saying, but you couldn't justifiably replace Brady Cook after last season.
I'm not saying replace him. I'm saying, like, bring in a 4-star guy and say, hey, you're not going to play this year, but we can redshirt you and you'll play next year and you'll have all these sexy weapons to throw to. Do that. Like, you don't have to have gone out to replace him to have like a backup option. Like, Texas is the perfect example right there. Like, they have, probably the safest bet in this upcoming draft. And then they also have probably the most talented quarterback in college football behind him who's waiting in the wings. Like, obviously, I'm not saying you need a 5-star quarterback sitting on the bench. Yeah. You can have somebody with upside sitting on the bench.
And I do kind of think that's what Drew Pine is. And I think that's why you're going to start seeing people say, let's see what Drew Pine can do. And he came in. There were 2 games in which he played. And
he looked good.
And he was like 11 of 12. Yeah, and he was like 11 of 12 in both of them. Granted, it was like against the other team and they had already quit.
But he looked better than Brady.
Yeah, and that's kind of – it's almost reaching like the CEH point, Conor, you know what I'm talking about. It's like with Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Oh, yeah.
Every single running back we bring in would look better than Clyde, whether limited or extended playing time.
I'd feel better with Josh Fan in the backfield than Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
But he would always find himself in the rotation, and it's like we've seen other quarterbacks, and they look flashier than Brady Cook, but Brady Cook is just the incumbent starter no matter what. And – I wish it wasn't that way. I wish when things weren't going well. And like it's not like Drinkwitz would be the first coach ever to play multiple quarterbacks. I mean, that's what Texas A&M did before this game. And I know it's because Weigman was hurt. That was half the reason. But like Marcel Reed looked good and they felt comfortable playing him instead of rushing Weigman back because they knew they had a good quarterback. Whereas like Brady Cook will have, like we've seen, a torn rotator cuff and they're saying, go back out there. And yeah, no, I'll agree 100% with you there, Conor. Like there needs to be an option B, and it seems like the option B, even if Brady Cook is hurt, the option B is hurt Brady Cook. So, Brayden,
what?
You were the biggest cheerleader for this defense alongside me. The pass rush looks non-existent.
Yeah, I mean, everything. There's no positives from today. There is nothing that you can say that's good. You can say that it's good that the season's over and I won't have to be stressed out about every single week from now
It's not
on.
over, Brayden. We could beat Bama, and there's still a path
it's over. Josh, it's over.
There's still a path.
Over, Josh. Josh, it's over. It's over.
Mizzou could still sneak into the playoffs.
This is like the Rays versus Dodgers. It's over. It's over, Josh.
Time to fire up the flight trackers.
But no, so
nobody's gonna want fucking drink.
No,
the best wide receiver in the goddamn country, and you have him. You're such a piss poor coach that you have him sitting on the goddamn sideline, pouting.
Yeah, the culture is actually damn good, Brayden.
Culture is really fucking good. And me and Josh were talking about this whole something to prove thing. You have Luther Burden saying, "Oh, we should have got college game day. Oh, we want to play under the spotlight. We want this. We want that. We deserve this." You don't fucking deserve shit.
I feel like a big issue with this team is last year with the Cotton Bowl, they thought they were hot shit, like best season since Pinkel and all that shit. And like the assumption was that the team was just going to, be.
They definitely drank their own Kool-Aid.
I feel like the assumption was they were going to be up there with, Georgia, Bama, Ohio State. Hell, they beat Ohio State and all that. But they didn't realize like what those teams put in to get to that point, and they just kind of overestimated themselves and walk into every game feeling like they're going to win by 60.
Well, they definitely, because Brayden and I talked about this in actually the pregame, previewing this. It's like last year they were so good because they really, truly embraced the underdog mentality. Like no one believes in us. And it was their moniker, STP. Like they shouted that all season long. And they're still using it this year, but it feels empty. And it feels like they're just kind of going through the motions now because of what they did last year. And they let it go to their heads a little bit. And they just haven't looked like the same team. Nowhere close. Like last year's team was better, even though this year's team, a lot of people would argue, is actually probably slightly more talented. And
what changed on defense?
Well, they lost Darius Robinson. They lost Ennis Rakestraw. They lost KAD. They lost Tyron Hopper. They lost some NFL draft picks, but they brought in some guys through the portal on the defensive line. Their linebackers we thought would be one of the strongest linebacking groups in the SEC. And really, I don't think the linebackers have been the problem. I think it's been the lack of pass rush, and I think it's been the secondary.
Were there any big coaching changes?
Blake Baker? Snake Baker, you mean? We don't need him.
Oh, yeah. What's Steve Wilkes up to? Unironically, what's Steve Wilkes up to? Like, that's not a joke.
I wouldn't mind adding him back to the staff.
Like, he's not doing anything because he got, screwed over. And, like, I don't know. I know we've talked about this in private, but I feel the need to publicly say this in front of Mizzou fans. Like, Steve Wilkes did nothing wrong. That Mizzou defense kind of got its shit together towards the end of the year when he figured out how to coach college guys, because obviously it's different than coaching NFL guys. And then he did great in the NFL as the Panthers interim coach, and he just went to the Super Bowl as the Niners DC. So free Steve Wilkes, one of my favorite coaches who constantly gets the short end of the stick. I'd love to see Steve Wilkes get any job, frankly. So why not back at Mizzou?
Yeah, no, I agree. And definitely the secondary could use his help because, like, you can argue Steve Wilkes as a defensive coordinator, but you cannot argue his experience with coaching some of the best defensive backs in the NFL and the way that he's able to develop guys in the secondary. And even, like, Ennis Rakestraw to this day has, said on Twitter, like, Steve Wilkes was huge in my development. You see him in the NFL now after he had kind of a rocky start at Mizzou. But going back to what I said about the pass rush, like, against Boston College, we said, hey, this is by design. They have a running quarterback. Vandy was kind of more the same. The pass rush was better, but it's like, oh, Pavia's mobile. The pass rush is by design. This wasn't by design. They straight up could not get pressure on Conor Weigman. And that's why really still I hammer that Dara Smith injury. I think he was a huge loss this year because he was the one guy you had.
Massive loss.
Had a lot of twitch, super athletic, could actually get home quickly. We got maybe a couple pressures, couple sacks after Weigman held the ball for 4 seconds. We don't have a guy that can get home super quickly. Johnny Walker's been a big disappointment this year after looking like a guy that could be all SEC towards the end of last year. He was the defensive MVP of the Cotton Bowl. He hasn't shown up at all. Zion Young, he's a good young piece, but I think he'd be better in a supporting cast role. And the pass rush has just been a big disappointment. And we tried to explain it away as being by design against Vandy and BC, but it's not by design anymore. They just can't get home.
Nope. I'm back, by the way.
So I'm sure Brayden agrees with everything there. I look around college football too, and I see other teams that just have, even bad teams, they have some sort of connection that works on offense between their quarterback and somebody else, or they have a running back that they can lean on. Even Arkansas, they're kind of hard to gauge, but like we still think they're in like the bottom third of the SEC. But it's like they have Taylon Green, who has been pretty good this year, and they have Jaquindon Jackson, who looks like an all SEC running back. And it's like we have all these talent, we have all these names and these faces, but like it's just not coming to fruition on the field. Like I'm just not seeing the consistent connection from Brady Cook to Luther Burden like we all thought was supposed to be there this year. And if you don't have that, then like what is this offense? You need to have something that you can lean on. And we just don't have anything that we can lean on. Nothing seems to be working consistently. And it's really concerning that they had the entire bye week to figure it out, and it's still not happening.
Is it working?
What?
Yeah.
I think my Wi-Fi gave out on me or something. My bad. But do you think it's possible that like Luther is kind of focused on his draft stock in the NFL this year?
No, I don't. Well, because like we talked about this in the group chat a little bit. I don't think it's that. And some people are going to talk about how like he pouted on the sidelines and stuff today. And like, I feel like Luther is under a microscope. Like I'm sure there were a lot of players pouting on the sidelines today. Now, some may argue as a leader of the team, you don't want to be the guy that's pouting constantly because the camera's going to be on you and stuff, whatever. But like he has a little over 300 yards this year. He's been good. But like Trey Harris has damn near 1,000 yards this year already for Ole Miss. Like there's several wide receivers in the SEC that are already over 500 yards. Like Luther's stats are suffering this year because of the quarterback play of Brady Cook. I'm like, I don't blame him for being pissed, and he's not going to throw Brady Cook under the bus. And like Luther Burden has done a great job repping Mizzou. Like you can just tell he loves being a star at Mizzou, but like his stats are suffering because of Brady Cook. And I think that's where a lot of the frustration is coming from. And like Conor, I think the better way to put it is he's frustrated because one of his goals this year is to be a first-round NFL draft pick, and Brady is slowly tanking his stock. And, like, he should still be a first-rounder unless he gets hurt or something like that. But, like I told you, I've seen a couple mock drafts now where he's kind of fell to the early 20s. He's like the 4th or 5th receiver off the board, and that wasn't the consensus before the start of this year.
Devil's advocate here, Josh. Would you take a down Mizzou year if it meant Luther Burden ended up on the Chiefs?
What's a down year?
What's a down year?
7 wins.
Nah,
8 wins.
You could talk me into 8 wins, maybe. You could probably talk me into 8 wins because that's still like a good year. But no, I mean Mizzou still has a lot to play for. Like, and this is also going to be me being devil's advocate because I have major concerns after this game, obviously, and I'm not sure you can call any game left on their schedule a layup after the way they look today. Besides UMass.
But the Rockets crowd.
I can't believe we have to travel there.
Massachusetts.
I can't believe
Great
we have
job,
to travel
Dave
there.
Stearns.
Jim Sturt.
Are
you talking about the old NBA commissioner, David Stern?
No,
this is his fault.
But look,
this is what he gets for founding the WNBA.
Like, it's one game. I wanted it to be closer, obviously, and I wanted them to win. But
Josh?
You could always survive a loss to A&M.
What a take!
I wanted my favorite team to win. Wow, real breaking news here down at the Show Me Football podcast.
But you can survive a loss to A&M. Like, people are acting like you can't survive this loss and the season's over. Like, the season's not over. You can survive a loss to A&M.
It's over, Josh.
It's not over.
No, you were saying before we started the podcast, if we just beat Bama.
That's true. Well, look at Vandy. That's
Vandy. Not happening.
It's the first quarter, Josh.
So? That's what we said.
Losing to fucking Vandy. I'll shove a 5-layer.
That's Conor, you were saying even in the group chat when Mizzou was losing, it's just the first quarter. Relax. So, look, you
And
were
I also
denying.
said that when Bama was beating Georgia, and look what happened. Like,
You're denying the inevitable.
I'm not denying the inevitable. I'm simply saying that there's a lot of football to be played, and you can't just
That's what
quit in
I'm
the first
saying.
quarter.
That's what I'm
Like,
saying now. But I'm talking about the season in
No,
retrospect.
I'm just saying that on like in a game, if you're down 14, the game's not over. There's 3 quarters to get back. Like the deficit in the first quarter was very doable for Mizzou, and they just gave up. So blame that on culture, blame that on coaching, blame that on just being the worst team, whatever you want to do. The fact is, there was still time to come back and win, and they just got outplayed for the rest of the game. So a game's never over in the first quarter. Like that's just I just don't like that. And I'll say that for any game, that it's stupid to celebrate or say it's over in the first quarter.
Yeah. But what I'll say is the season is not over. The season is not over.
It's
They
over,
still-
Josh.
This
Move
no.
on.
What's a successful
We're on to
season
the
for this
draft.
Mizzou team?
10-2 can still be successful, and it's still very much on the table.
So you want to win every game besides Bama, and what,
Very
you think you'll
possible.
make the playoffs.
Probably not.
I mean, there's a chance, but it's not a guarantee. That
Maybe
make
if
the
you like
playoff.
housed Oklahoma, South Carolina, Arkansas, whatever. But
You have to destroy UMass, you have to destroy Auburn, you have to make it close with Bama, and then you have to just win big against Oklahoma, Mississippi State, South Carolina, and Arkansas. I
Yeah.
don't think that this team is capable of that.
Right now, the way they're playing, no. But there's too much talent on this team for them to not figure
We
something
had
out.
an entire week to get ready.
I
for
know.
this game,
I
and they
get
came
it.
out
I
this
get it.
fucking flat.
But there's still too much talent on this team for them to be like this all year. Like
where are those massive gets, Josh?
Texas A&M is now in the rearview mirror. Forget this game. Scrap it. It sucks. Burn the tape. There's still a path to a successful season this year. And there's too much talent for them not to figure it out.
One. It's not a likely one.
Right now, the way they're playing,
out like
no.
this and then, yeah.
Right now, the way they're playing, no. I would predict like a 9-3, 8-4 season right now, the way they're playing.
Just show the recruiting rankings to Auburn and they'll back down.
Auburn's actually
Auburn's
got
has it
a damn good
semi-close
class.
against Georgia right now.
That's
You
a
could
heated
just-
rivalry.
Hey,
game.
you could just pray that every other team in the top 10 ahead of Mizzou loses too. I mean, that's the path.
Yeah,
It's only
we'll
one
have a whole
loss.
2007
I don't really
type
put stock
season.
into how close like bitter rivalry games are. Those are always going to be tight. Usually.
Well, I don't think there's too much else to say about this game. I think we're all ready to watch these other SEC games that are going on around college football, but
And the Royals.
and the Royals. But yeah, not a great Mizzou game today, and I blame Conor because
What?
ever since he became a student at Mizzou and started, going through the motions as a fan, we've started to
What?
go back to what the old Mizzou was before. Whereas last year he said he was going to stop being a fan, and then we were actually good for once. We had the best season in a decade, and now Conor's back. And
You didn't reset the status quo, Josh. Calm down. I have no impact on this team.
And then you announced
The
that you were
Conor
coming.
curse is very real.
No, yeah, because then he announced that he was coming to Mizzou. He announced it, and then the basketball team went winless in SEC play.
That's Dennis's fault, not mine.
No, I blame you. I blame you.
Wow, Josh.
And he says he's a true son, but he'll be in the stands at a Mizzou game watching the Bama game on his phone.
I'll watch other teams on my phone with the games.
Not a
already
true son.
clinched.
Not a true son.
Josh, you don't even know what Strickland Hall is. I don't want to hear it.
You haven't even worked out at the Mat C.
Yes, I did.
I haven't seen it. I need proof.
Why do you need proof of that?
Proof. Source. Where is it?
I have my student ID. You can fucking
your source?
post a picture of it on post.
Technically, you're not a true son until you've graduated. You still have to accomplish that first.
And you haven't. You never will. So you never will be a true
I
son.
could decide to go to school still.
You won't.
No, I won't.
You're gonna
Josh,
get
you're a
jobs you get at
married
Boeing.
man. You are not going back to college.
But
Online
folks, what I
classes,
think is
Brayden.
really important here is that the audience knows who to vote for in this upcoming election.
Okay, yeah. We'll sign off there, everybody. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe so more Mizzou fans can
Vote
find
Nick
this.
Saban 2024.
Yes.
And MIZ.
Fuck KU. That's about
Okay.
all I got.
I'll take that.
I'm not saying.